Good morning. Hey, Chuck, how are you? Welcome aboard. It's Conjet. Welcome. I have some unintentional lighting here. It's pretty cool. I never thought of that. I'm over at the lathe, so nice to see you there, Chuck. Hey, Bart. You may recognize that material. I'm about to set that up in the lathe for some work. And I have my overhead light, which is giving me some lighting, which is weird. I didn't think about that. So, yeah. Hi, everyone. Today is going to be the hottest day of the year so far. And I'm hiding in the shop and in the house. So welcome aboard. Yeah, so I wasn't intending on talking about lathe work today, but I think I'm going to start doing this today and get my laps going. I have succumbed to the 3-plate method lap project, which I'm going to do as a fill-in fun thing. Currently, I'm pretty caught up on Kinetic Precision shipping. Welcome aboard, guys. Jameson, Kelton, Wes, Ugly Skull. Welcome aboard. Yeah, so grinding is pretty caught up. The spreadsheet says that I have some work to do, but I'm sort of decided not to because there's no imminent orders for that. Fat Radcator, welcome. Hey, Adam. Welcome aboard from the far east coast, where it's going to be 90 something. Yeah. Ominous prophesizing will happen today. I don't know when. That's what makes it ominous. Felix, welcome. It's still nice and cool in the shop. The shop has no air conditioning, but it does have heating, which we won't need today. I think the current predicted high is, I think it was 94 or 96. I don't remember. Machinist 60, welcome. That's funny. I'm a machinist, and I'm 60. Ooh, who knew? So, again, if you're just joining us, I'm on the... Don't say it. I know. I'm sorry. Sorry, bud. It's the way it is. No need to call me sir. I'll be in the area all day. So I'm on the TL1 today. Hot as a blacksmith shop. Woo! That's hot. Yeah, I have to say, the shop right now, I have not opened any doors today, and the shop right now is really nice and cool. So I am not complaining. I have a fan. I know, you're my biggest fan. I have a fan that sits on top of the Sharp, and it just circulates air in the shop. That's all it does, and it's in my face right now. It feels real good. So I'm on the TL1. I've got the first of 3 ductile iron lap blanks chucked up. This is going to get cut, and then I got 2 more to go. So I'll probably write a little program in the control, but probably this is going to be manual-ish. And I think what I'm going to do, I just came up with this idea this morning. I'm going to cut some nice grooves in the side of the lap. Kind of like finger groove-ish. Nothing too fancy, but they're going to be different. So the A, the B, and the C are going to have different grooves on the side. Maybe 1 groove, 2 groove, 3 groove. And then the grooves are going to be offset to one side. So basically, the grooves I put in will be we'll make it unambiguous as to which side is which. What do you think of that idea? Welcome aboard. I don't know how to pronounce your name, so I'll say welcome aboard. And a bunch of other guys just popped in. So that's the plan. Is I'm going to face this guy. I'm going to take the sides down to a dimension as yet to be determined, and then I'm going to put a couple of grooves in here for identifiers, and then I'm going to flip it over and basically do it again. So that's underway, and of course this is my favorite material to work with because just being in the same room with it, you get dirty. So anyway, we'll figure it out. But I probably never showed my TL1 on a live before. 6-inch Fat Radicator. These are 6-inch blanks, but they're coming in pretty strong. Let's see. They're coming in. I'm calling it 6 1/8, which is nice. So they'll finish to 6. These will finish to 6 inches. I guess this is a 6-inch chuck nominally, but anyway, that is 6 1/8 right there. I don't think that's considered an 8-inch chuck. I think this is considered a 6-inch chuck. And let's see. No, it is considered an 8-inch chuck. I am wrong. So 6 inches. Hey, a groovy idea. Thank you very much. I'll take that in the spirit in which it was offered. 4-axis smiling Baham. Bawman. X-Ray Fun, welcome aboard. Treatment NL, which I assume is Netherlands. Welcome aboard. Yes, Fat Radicator, McMaster. Let's see. I don't think this is not the part number. That's an internal number. Let me see if I can get you that number. Hang on. No, I don't have it here. So let me see if I can find that for you, and I'll put it up on somewhere. It won't play no more. So, Foxberg's Fabricoblin. I was just looking at your post this morning. Welcome aboard. Yeah, so these were about $40 a piece, I think. They're not light. And it's nominally a 1.5-inch. No, I take it back. It's a 1 1/4-inch disc. So it's 1 1/4 by 6-inch diameter, ductile iron, McMaster car. You could find it faster than I can look up the number for you. So if you want to play the game with Ox tools, this is about $40. So 3 of them is about $120. So what am I cooking on? So today we're talking about the fact that I'm just going to lay my first tool into some metal for the 3 lapping plate game that Ox Tools started. So I'm going to do that. The difference is I'm not going to follow his grooving regimen. I'm going to listen to Robin Renzetti, because Robin made some specific recommendations which I think are worth taking. I think Robin talked about he liked a V-groove, and he talked about liking 150 thousandths spacing. So I'm going to copy Robin's preferences on the grooving and figure out how I'm going to do that, which I haven't figured out yet. I'm either going to do it on the Sharp VMC. Yes, I did bow when I said Robin. Did you notice that? Okay. So I'm going to either do the grooving on the VMC or the grinder. The grinder's a little overkill, but seriously, what's better than overkill? It's the best kind of kill. So I'll either do it on the grinder or I'll do it on the VMC, but we'll get the grooving going. according to the Robin recipe, but the Ox Tools project is underway. He didn't even know I was going to mention him today, or I would have bugged him. He's probably still in bed. It's 10 o'clock out there on a Sunday. So that's what's going on here. Literally just warmed it up, and haven't even started calibrating yet. But just to show you the tools that I'm planning on using, this is my go-to do everything tool. Hang on, changing my grip. That's a steel insert, or I should say that's an insert for steel. It's not focusing. I think his name is UFAC, right? Focus UFAC. Anyway, that'll be the cutting tool. We ought to start a one-handed machinist club, which I don't actually want to think about. And then the grooving tool. I've got a nice where is it? Here it is. There's the grooving tool. And that's a round nose. It's a round nose grooving tool. And it does many things. I just saw your answer, Machinist 60, that Ox Tools is busy counting his collection of hammers. Hey Chuck, you can give Tom a jingle and tell him to get on the horn. Bart says, curious to see how flat it will come off the lathe. Always wanted to do a flatness comparison between lathe, mill, shaper, and grinder. I actually have a very interesting opinion about that. And I too am interested to see what that is. On manual lathes that have how do I say this? Dovetail ways, they will typically set the compound. You may already know this. They'll typically set the compound like this. Okay. There you go. Machinist 60 says 5/10 with light chuck pressure. So I'm grossly exaggerating, but they'll set the compound to run like so. And the reason is that as it wears, it's going to wear to parallel, and then it's going to wear out. So to get the most life out of the compound ways, typically they'll start like this. Okay, we'll give you the inner knife hand position here, and then it'll wear, and then it needs rebuilding. Right. So I don't know what I'm going to find on this machine. This is linear rails on the Haas in both axes, and it'll be very interesting to see how flat it comes. I will report the how flat this thing. Naturally, I'm going to measure it. How flat this thing cuts on the face, and then but here's the important thing: is after I've taken the OD, and then after I face it, it may be conical, but it should sit on a flat surface without any rock. And if that's true, then it can go on the grinder, and then I can kiss the face to goodness before the process even starts. So that's my plan, is to get it as flat as I can get it before I get it flat, if you know what I'm saying. So there you go. Let me put this tool back so I don't dump it into the chip tray, which would be really, really bad. There we go. So that's the upcoming turning project, which I might knock that off today. That's a simple project to get ahead. Yes, might depend on the tool post. So over here, you'll notice on the TL1, it doesn't have a compound, right? There's no compound. That helps a lot. And then this is a big solid block, and then a Dorian V35 TC tool post, which is, it's pretty beefy. And this machine has been just stunningly good as far as holding tolerances and cutting flat and all that good stuff. But we'll quantify that for you as things go. Hey Tom, welcome aboard. I follow all you guys on Instagram, and I'm not really sure what your time zones are. So as people are popping up here, either they just finished breakfast or they're getting ready for dinner. I'm not sure. Yes, Machinist 60 says with your CNC, you should be able to program it near perfect. Yeah, I could do that. I could compensate for that. But I'm not going to. It's going to hit the grinder anyway. But yes, you can compensate. Yeah, after you determine the error. Absolutely true. One of the things, I don't think I've ever shown this. I had my friend Warren Jones over here the other day, and I pulled this out for him. This is a setup piece that came off of the TL1, and this is a 15-inch diameter parabolic reflector. This was a project that I did for a company that shall not be named a while ago. And, well, you can see the reflection of the light. I held 2 thousandths all over this project right off the TL1. And it met specifications. The back of this reflector came off the mill. So this is all weight reduction, also known as lightening holes. And when I designed this project, we put this hole here, and then we put this bolt pattern in, and then there's another bolt pattern. Either one of which could have been used by my client for mounting. But this bolt pattern was put in because it exactly matches a lathe adapter plate. So as far as the TL1 was concerned, this was a lathe chuck. And that worked fantastically well. Do a far field offset? Yes, I know. I have now this is a setup piece. First, let me just clarify a couple of things. This is a setup piece. This flat on the bottom was because I had a scrap part that I could use for setup that was too small, so I used it. I didn't cut this flat to make it stand nicely, but it stands really nicely. So anyway, this looked like a chuck. It went on a plate. So after this came off the mill, this was done on the sharp. And this is one of the holes for the supports for the feed. There's 3 holes here. And I'm not going to get into the whole design of this thing. But this inner circle here was done on the lathe. And this inner circle was actually the reference point. Hey, take care, Foxburg's Faber-Coblin. Yeah, we'll talk to you later. So that was a reference hole, and then of course we cut our parabola. The outer surface was done on the mill because we were really at the limits of the TL1, and that was a pretty cool project. So I showed you this just to point out that the TL1 is a very, very good lathe, and it will hold. Look at the beef on that thing. I mean, seriously, it will hold tolerances all day long if you do your job. And yes, it has all the good, size compensation stuff available of like any good CNC machine. But I've been a really happy camper with this thing. Very, very beefy. So that's what's cooking on the lathe. I am not going to attempt to do one-handed machining because it will end in disaster, and we don't want disaster. But we can walk over to my usual spot here at the grinder, and I'll set up. The grinder is quiet right now. might be running later. I do have, the spreadsheet does want me to do some grinding, but I might, oops, try that again. There we go. Get you some power. Put you in the stand so you could stop getting seasick. And here we are. So let me just take you back out of the stand for one quick second. So here's the McMaster plates. These two are identical to what's on the chuck right now. So these will be going in after I get things sorted out. Yeah. So I have a... Let me switch you back around. So when the plates came in from McMaster Car, whoever packed them at McMaster Car packed these 3 plates. Okay, so this is like 10 pounds per plate, and threw it into a box with some paper, and then threw my 3 tubes of diamond lapping paste into the same box and hit ship. So when it came in, they looked like they've been through a tumbler, and the plates won. So I called up McMaster Car, and I love them, and they, it's very rare that I have that kind of issue with these guys. And I couldn't finish my sentence before the very nice customer service person said, "I'll get you a new order out right away." And I said, "Whoa, hang on. Don't send the plates. The plates are fine." And the poor box. I didn't, it's a true story. I didn't post any pictures of it, but maybe later today I will post pictures of it. I better write down my homework here. But yeah, the pictures of the plates were pretty funny. So they did. They shipped me new syringes of diamond lapping compound, and only one of them really got smashed. So I think I'll have plenty for quite a while. But true story, they were super nice, and I don't blame them one bit. Somebody needed a little training. It was pretty funny. So it could have been a lot worse. So that's the story. Other projects. I actually have 2 electrical projects going on. Come on, I'll give you a quick tour of the electrical stuff, and then we'll talk about whatever you want to talk about. So right here, kind of in the way, this is the back of a lab oven. This is a very nice lab oven, which I built a stand for and put on casters. Everything that can be on wheels is on wheels. And I'm putting a new cord in. This runs on 220, so I've got some new cordage for it. Right here, this is 10.3 SO cord. So that's electrical project. That's simple electrical project number 1. And then we have a more complex electrical project over here. You might recognize my dual bandsaw. And the dual bandsaw is getting a VFD. And that has been sitting here, and it needs to be working because I need this bandsaw. So that's the second project. So I got 2 projects this is going to require a little more wiring. But then the same thing. It's going to get this 10.3 SO cord. And my shop is wired up. Let me see if I can show you. My shop is wired up for 220. Yes, that's a 16-inch throat. Machine is 60. I've shown I've posted pictures of the bandsaw before, but when we get close to getting that guy up, I will... Oh, you have the same one? Oh, we have to talk. Dude, seriously, we have to talk. And I'll tell you why. Let me see if I can show you without smashing things up. So this thing got dropped on its face at some point, and the logo, the casting was smashed up, and I've got to clean that up. And also the prayer wheel, speeds and feeds wheel, got pretty smashed up. So I'd like to get that fixed up. So maybe one day we will talk about that. Fad Radcator, 600 volt cable is a safety rating. It's not, it's just what it is. I don't know if you can even buy cable that is not rated at 600 volts. So this connector right here is what I have in the shop. So this gives us 220 plus the neutral. Oh, I'm sorry, Chuck. So dump us and come back in, Chuck, if it locked up. We won't say anything important without you. So this is how everything's wired up in the shop. I've got ground, neutral, and 220 available at each twist lock, and then I have twist locks there and just all over the place in the shop. So this is going on both of those projects. They both get 220, and they both have an outlet waiting for them. So that's what I picked up this week. I picked up 2 more sets of these connectors, plus my my bunch of SO cord. So that's ready to go. So those are the projects other than normal Kinetic Precision production and whatever client prototyping I have going on. Welcome back, Chuck. That wasn't so bad. You didn't miss anything. That's what's going on in the shop today. And that's about it. It's quiet in here. I'm keeping it quiet in here because it's going to be a hot one. There we go. So, where'd my stool go? Give me 1 second. I'm going to get my stool. Okay. You must make parts for shooting irons. Well, I don't play much golf, but yes. We are licensed and capable of doing that, but I will be honest that lately I have not done much. So, but yeah, we're type 7 here, so we can manufacture. Okay, if I could be of assistance, I will be happy to be of assistance. I have my own projects that have been sitting here. I got a 223 I have to finish. You too are a locksmith. Excellent. We could work on some locks together. Very smooth, nicely ground locks. Let's see. Diario do Tecnólogo. Tecnólogo. Welcome aboard. Bienvenido. See some new names coming in. Heavy Mad Things. Hey, guy. Good name. Wink, wink, nod, nod. A wink is as good as a nod to a blind man. So I don't have much today. I'll be honest with you. The ominous foreshadowing is that there's no ominous foreshadowing. It's summer, whether we like it or not. It's going to be 90-something today. I'm hiding. And we're going to be making the ugliest chips that man can create. Thank you, sir. I speak enough to get in trouble. So what am I doing today? the I may cut a few chips on the lathe. I may switch out my grinding wheels for some steel and do a couple of things. Machinist 60 is going to plan a trip to some stores. That sounds good. AC in the shop. There's no AC in the shop. But the shop is surrounded by a knee wall of concrete here. A knee wall of concrete there, but that's it's 5 feet high, and then all the way around. So we have a lot of concrete around us. It stays pretty cool in here if I keep the doors closed. But what happens is, it's funny, Chuck. I've been doing a lot of cleaning also. Yesterday was shop cleaning for me also. If you have nothing to do, clean. So the sun sets over there, and that's where the garage doors are. And this afternoon it might get brutal in here, so I may have to punch out. Tuck Garage says, curious, what is the amp draw in your CNC lathe? I'm thinking of getting a CNC lathe myself. Almost Machining says, howdy, Chuck, I'm doing the same. It's a mess. Hey, Bob Lemire, I can't believe that you deemed me worthy of joining the live. Welcome aboard, sir. Nice to hear your voice. I didn't hear your voice. The CNC, the Sharp is on a breaker. I want to say there's a 50 amp breaker going into my Phase Perfect 10 horsepower converter, and the machine is a 10 horsepower machine, and it's never been a problem. It's always been perfect. So I have a 100 amp breaker on the main panel in the house supplying the shop. So the shop has 100 amps and 50 amp breaker to the CNC machine. I hope that answers the question. Let's see. 2 minutes. Machinist 60 says 2 minutes to make the mess and all day to straighten out. It's true. I'm doing very well, Bob. Thank you. Think of you often. We got to get you down to the magic place so that we can kick each other in the head. Your shop is now, so James Howe says shop is at 60 with no AC just north of me. Yeah. Big slab with lots of insulation. So we don't have much insulation. The doors are pretty good doors, but we'll see. We'll see how long we last today. If I start opening the doors, it's over. Let's see. Did I want to cover anything else? I think that's all the stuff that I've got going on. It's been a nice busy week. Family stuff this week. I got one of my kiddos down to college. Oh yeah, almost. You've been on night shift, huh? Well, at least you're able to catch up on the videos. We missed having you. And maybe next week I will figure out who to get on here as a guest. If you have an idea for somebody who you'd like to see as a guest, let me know, and we'll get them on. Let's see. In monochromatic light source news, I just started using the ones I built. I built two. If you've been following, I built the germicidal bulbs in the Portatrace, and the tricolor, the regular fluorescence in the Portatrace, both with the cheapo green filters. Oh, how nice to ask. Mom's doing great. Thank you very much. I was just on the phone with her. She's doing awesome. Thanks, buddy. She was actually sitting outside, and I checked before I talked to her on the phone, and it was 88 degrees down there. So that was pretty, I was like, are you comfortable? She said she was comfortable. So that was pretty funny. But thanks for asking. So I actually used my monochromatic light source that I built from the germicidal bulbs. You saw some pictures of that in my feed, and it worked great. So it works so good that a particular knife maker who I follow, and you do probably also, texted me and says, how come your light source looks so good? So I think we figured out that the filter that Adam, you're here, Adam, right? I think we figured out that the filter that Adam specified is a nice, well-controlled, well-characterized filter from Roscoe, but it's a little low in wavelength for the mercury line that we're using off the germicidal bulbs. So it's a little dim, and the cheapo, literally gift wrap green stuff that I bought off of Amazon actually is in the right place. So that seems to be an accidental discovery that is working out pretty well. I don't think it's. I shouldn't say that because I don't have the R90s in house, but I don't think it's a huge difference. But I do think it's a difference, and I would have worried about what it was doing, except for the fact that I have the spectrophotometer, so I measured it. So it looks really good. And for the average user, the regular tricolor fluorescence with that same cheapo filter, it works and it's good enough. But I think I like the germicidals right now better than the other ones, but we'll let you know. And the other point on the germicidal bulbs, which I think I made in my presentation, was that they're going to be around a lot longer than the fluorescents are going to be around. One day the fluorescents are going away, whether we like it or not. Okay, so I think I lost my tea. So think of some questions, and I'm going to go find my tea, which is here, but it's across the room, and then we'll just get into Q&A for the remainder here, because I don't have anything miraculous to show you. Stand by. I found my tea. So this is a perennial problem around here, is losing my tea. Okay, so let's bring up some questions, and maybe if I can't answer them, we'll get somebody from our magnificent community and to answer them. And if you don't have any questions, you can make a controversial statement, and we'll just argue about it. While you're thinking of your questions, I will show you some things. I was going through my my grinder cabinet, and a buddy of mine gave me some wheels that are very old. They're nice, and some of them are unused, but they're old Norton. This was from 1986, and this is a 32A wheel, which now is colored that purple, that reddish purple, but back in the day, they didn't bother. Look at that. And this is this nice open wheel. Chuck said something. Hang on. Chuck says 2 benches are now clean and 1 side done. Keep on keeping on, Chuck. We'll cheer you on as you go. If there's anything interesting on the video, I will let you know. But meanwhile, don't slow down. Where am I posting the mono light experiments? Okay, here's what you do, guys. You go to my bio, and in my bio is a link to my links. So you hit that, and then when you get to my links, go to the bottom. It's near the bottom because they're in chronological order, and you'll see a link called Monochromatic Rabbit Hole. Click that, and all of the goodies of the monochromatic experiments are there. And the first one, top dead center, it says something like a presentation, something. But anyway, it's a PDF file of a PowerPoint that I'm putting together. It's a living document. I'll be updating it, and it has all of my data. Okay, I think that answers your question. Start with the link in the bio, and go down the rabbit hole. Let's see. Norton is a great brand, and they're based in Massachusetts, not too far away. Maybe one day we'll get a tour. I see 2 questions came in the queue, but let me get this one out. Almost Machining says the NOS is doing really well. Hey, man. Here's what Almost Machining is talking about. This, from Kinetic Precision, is a NOS. And he says the NOS is doing real well. Ground up some crystalline stones. The tile saw eats the stones like butter, by the way. The setup I'm using freehand ends up breaking out. A little care is needed. Breaking out a little care is needed. Yeah, I would imagine. Pretty cool. Anyway, this is the NOS. This one is, I think, the first design I came up with, and we found out that we wanted smaller holes to get higher velocities out of it. So now what I have on the grinder right now is these are 0.78 diameter holes, and now we're down to 0.54 diameter holes, and fewer of them, and it shoots out of there like crazy. So if you're curious about the NOS, you knew I was going to do this, right? nos.gg, NOZ.gg will take you to the NOS information page. Okay, let's get to the question queue. Chuck Bomarito in the country of California asks, have you used the Radiac Pour-So-Way wheels? So, to answer that question, I will do a dramatic unveiling of yes, I have. So there's a Radiac wheel. This is the Pour-So-Way. This is a 46 grit, super open wheel, and the answer is yes. I've used them. I like them. I have not gotten to the point of, and I, of course, balanced them, right? I have not got bal.gg for more information. I have not gotten to the point with those Radiac wheels where I say, oh my gosh, this is the answer and it solved the problem that other wheels couldn't solve. I haven't gotten there yet, but they're in the repertoire, and I break it out when I think it's going to be important. Do I have a CNC mill? Yes, I have a Sharp SV2412S. 10 horsepower, 10,000 RPM, 16 tools in the changer, and a dog on the windshield with the head bobbing up and down. So, let's see. Thank you, Chuck. Okay. Do you have a tidy solution for workshop airline? Asks Nano CNC Limited. Hoses are starting to be a hazard. So I'll show you my setup. I'm gonna de-dock you here and turn you around. So I use lots of air on my grinder. So this is where it starts, and I have a couple of hose reels. I have one here. I have one there. And that's the only reels I have. There's my air piping. My air piping is all 3/4 inch copper. Okay. So it used to be that my compressor was in that corner, in that corner of the garage. It's gone. earlier we were over there looking at the saw, the bandsaw. That's where the compressor used to be. Now the compressor is that away in my basement. So this was added when I got the Kaiser, okay? And this feeds my system all around the shop. So that's 3/4 inch copper, and then there's a drop here, there's a drop here, there's a drop there, there's another drop there, and there's another drop there. Now that drop used to be the feed, and this whole thing pitches down to this corner. Everything pitches down to this corner, and I bet you can't guess what that valve is right there. That valve is a dump valve that goes outside. I'm going to scare the dogs next door now. So I just dumped air outside. So anyway, this system has been superb. The 3/4 inch copper is highly recommended. I couldn't bring myself to spend all sorts of time, money, and effort on other, aluminum, the blue stuff. This works great. Your argument is, golly, copper is expensive. Yeah, it's expensive, but it's a known quantity. I know how to work with it. You put it in once and it's done. So I'm really happy with it. It's highly thermally conductive. This is something nobody talks about, so that the probability that moisture is going to condense out it may be higher, which I want. And the other thing, look at this, okay? So on my loop, every drop is a reverse trap. Okay, so it goes up and over. This is not new. Others have shown this on YouTube and whatever. This is the driest air system I've ever had. It is dry as a bone. And take care, Fat Rat Cater, if I didn't miss you. Firmworks says he's got a Kaiser coming on Wednesday. That's awesome. You're going to love the Kaiser. It's a great machine. So that's my solution. The solution was I actually had my plumber, when my plumber was here doing another project, I had him put the loop around the garage. And I'll be honest, I wasn't so happy with some of the anchoring they did. In fact, just today I looked at one of the anchors and I'm like, I have to redo that. But the whole design of 3/4 inch copper all the way around, pitched, works great. So that's the story on the airline. I'm very, very happy with it. Oh, another important thing on the airline. Let me show you something. So once you put it in an airline like this, you start. You have a box of parts for the airline. So this is a whole bunch of adapters. But what I want to show you are these guys. You're familiar with the connectors. This is the female connector. So I did what anybody would do. I went to Home Depot and I bought these connectors and I put them around the shop. And this is the second shop I've been in, right? So I used to live one town over. And I built that shop from dirt. Well, what I discovered is the connectors that you buy, what do they call these? Quick change, quick attach connectors from Home Depot are crap. Okay, and probably from Amazon. You see inside, this thing has 6 balls. Always check the balls. This has 6 balls, and the cheap ones have 3. And the ones with 3 balls are junk, and they were leaking, and I changed them all. I went to McMaster Car, I spent the extra bucks, and I got the good ones. I was never sorry. So get the good ones. Okay, that's everything I know about airlines. And eventually I bought a Kaiser. The James Howe, a New Hampshire resident, I believe, says, what is your air filtration / dust collection setup? So I'll start on the grinder, and if you want me to tell you about the other stuff, let me know. But really, I think you're asking about the grinder. So right there is a mist collector. I use flood cooling when I grind, lots of it. So I'm blasting flood cooling. That goes down into a filtration system. But what happens is with grinding systems, the act of grinding will aerosolize the coolant, which means it'll make a mist. It'll make a bigger mist. Anyway, you use the oh, you're welcome there, Nano. So I designed and built. Ah, you're in Vermont. I'm sorry. I couldn't remember. Vermont is just western New Hampshire. So I designed and built this plenum, okay? And the grinder was all set at the wheel housing to hook up the mist collector. So I bought the Mist Fit, which is a Canadian company. There's a dealer in the U.S. local to me, which if you're curious, I can get the information. And it has two 4-inch outputs, or inputs, really. And I designed and built, 3D printed, this adapter for this 3-inch line. Okay, they tell you not to do this, by the way. Yeah, don't worry about that. So that's the 3-inch line going to the head, and then that plenum sits right there. Remember, the wheel is shooting stuff this way. Okay, we're in back camera mode, so everything is correct. So the wheel is shooting stuff this way, and a lot of the mist happens here. This thing works awesome. So the mist gets sucked, the aerosolized mist that is not grabbed by the wheel housing, and it has another little extension here that helps. Whatever makes it into the air gets sucked up by this guy. And I would say we're at a 90% collection rate. It's really, really good. And then it goes up there. Now what happens is it filters it. Okay, Tuck Garage. Take care, buddy. How we doing? 6 minutes. It goes up in here. The first section here is a coalescing filter. It basically is a bunch of grids so that the mist will collect on them and then drip back down. So it'll drip back down here and fall back in, or it'll drip back down here and fall back in. And the air goes up through a filter, which might get wet, and then it goes out. And then there's a pressure gauge on the filter, and if that pressure gauge gets into the red, you have to replace the filter. So that's how you can track your filter behavior. So that's the setup on the grinder. The coolant goes down into a continuous filter system. That's the tank, is 30 gallons of coolant there. And that's the schmutz that comes off of the grinder, okay? So and then it goes into another filter. When it pumps out of here, it goes through a filter which you can't see in the back, which is currently set up with a 30 micron filter, and then it comes back and it gets reused. So this is the answer to how do you handle, you said dust / air filtration / dust collection. So this is how we handle the grinder. I don't have anything special on the CNC mill. It's self-contained. It has not been a problem. But this was the guy that really needed to be addressed. So that's how we did it. Next question. Cartwright.Christian says, is 100 amps plenty for your shop? The answer is yes. I'm a one-man shop. We sometimes will have 2 CNC machines going. I've never had a problem. So 100 amps is plenty. So that's 220 single phase, 100 amps. We have 2 3-phase converters. They're both phase perfect, 10 horsepower converters. I've got one for the grinder, one for the big CNC machine. And then we have VFDs on the Bridgeport, bandsaw, and and the TL1 lathe has a built-in VFD, so it runs on single phase. So the answer is yes. Indiana John says, I wonder if you can make an India stone from all the stone swarf, and then a PFG stone from that, and then a smiley laughy face, because you know the answer to that is no. Not going there. Okay, this is serious. This is a very serious question we have to deal with, and I think I need your help with this question. Our good friend Chuck Barmerito is dealing with some very important questions right now, and I think we need to help him. Chuck Barmerito says, what should I have for lunch? So while everybody here puts their suggestions in chat, I will say one of the things you should not have for lunch, you should not have pineapple on pizza. I know you West Coast guys eat some funny stuff. I think you should have chimichangas or burritos grandes. And sushi. I think you should have sushi, Chuck. It's good for you, it's yummy, and you're on the West Coast. I love my sushi. James Howe says he just finished some spicy chicken ramen. Would recommend. Nano says you should have fish and chips. I will allow fish and chips. Let's see. And the only thing I could, sometimes I like to have my major protein at lunch, and then have a light dinner, like a salad. So if you're in that mode, I would say you should go have a nice filet mignon, perhaps with a wrap of bacon around it. And asparagus. Yes. This is what I recommend for you, Chuck. Smoked salmon. Machinist 60 says smoked salmon. I cannot argue with that. A bagel and lox with a schmear, I think, is a good choice. Indiana John says grilled cheese with ham. Now, I will modify that very slightly and recommend grilled cheese with prosciutto. Okay. How are we doing there, Chuck? Are we getting close? I want to report. All right, we're coming up on the top of the hour. We have one more question came in. And, it's Chuck. Chuck says chicken parmigiana, since I'm in Italiano. You are an Italiano. Yes. Chicken parmigiana, highly recommended. I can't argue with that. There was no argument. When somebody says chicken parmesan, the answer is yes. What is prosciutto? So, Indiana John, I think between me and Chuck, we can agree that if you don't know what prosciutto is, you don't need to know. Prosciutto is a smoked, aged Italian ham. It's typically cut very, very thin, and it's a little salty because of the curing, and it's really yummy. So get yourself to a proper shop and get yourself some prosciutto. Say it with me. Prosciutto. Nano is off to eat. Take care, bud. I think Chuck indicates his brain has exploded. My job here is done. That's it. We hit 2 o'clock. And BurtCan6126 has joined exactly at 2 o'clock, which is exactly when we're wrapping it up. Sorry, bud. I will allow for one more question if it's a quick one. Otherwise, I'm going to say see you later. I don't know how many of you guys are ham radio operators, but normally now I would say 73, which is ham radio speak for best wishes. Indiana John is going to check out Prosciutto. I want a full report. You're welcome. By the way, Indiana John, if you go to a really proper Italian place and look at real proper prosciutto, please be holding on to something when you see the prices. It's worth it. Get a quarter pound and get started. 73, Chuck. And that's it. Have a great Sunday. If you're here on the East Coast, go get yourself something with ice cubes in it. You're going to need it. If you're going to go have fun in the shop, pay attention. Don't do two things at once. And be safe. Have fun, guys. We'll see you next week. And who knows? Maybe we'll have a guest. Ciao.